Can you even fathom the pandemonium of picking up a gut-wrenching, heart-stopping call informing you that your grieving, broken wife is being physically dragged out of her own mother's wake by some overzealous HOA security thugs? I thought I'd heard it wrong. Surely this couldn't be happening, right? But then I tore into the cul-de-sac, tires screeching and smoking, and there she was, me beautiful, devastated wife, Emily, crumpled on the sidewalk like a tossed-aside napkin, sobbing her heart out. Her funeral dress, ripped at the shoulder, hung off her like a sick punchline, mascara streaming down her face in dark rivers of anguish. I leapt from the car, adrenaline surging, and roared at whoever was nearby, demanding to know who in God's name authorized this insanity. And then, out struts this smug, stiletto-heeled suburban dictator, Karen Voss, pointing at herself with a grin that could sour cream. I did, she chirped, like she just won some deranged HOA trophy. Rules are rules. Oh lady, you have no idea who you just crossed. Too bad she didn't recognize me because I'm the state attorney general and I've got a memory like a vault for trash like this. Seriously, how often do you roll up to find your wife being manhandled off her own dead mother's lawn like she's some random gatecrasher? That's exactly where I found myself, though, on this bleak, cloud-heavy Tuesday afternoon in Pine Hollow Estates. Picture it. The wake was meant to be a quiet, tender farewell, just family, a few close friends, some turkey sandwiches on a card table, and a handful of chairs under a small canopy in the front yard. Nothing rowdy, nothing loud, definitely not some wild bash to shake up the neighborhood. But to Karen Voss, self-appointed empress of the Homeowners Association, this simple act of mourning was a full-blown attack on her sacred rulebook class C violation of Section 7B, unapproved gatherings. Can you believe that garbage? My poor Emily was still reeling, shell-shocked from losing her mom just days earlier. This wake was her lifeline, her one fragile shot at a proper goodbye. How could anyone tear that away? Yet there was Karen, this manicured clipboard-wielding tyrant, turning a sacred moment into her personal power play. Who does that? I dropped to my knees beside Emily on that cold, unforgiving sidewalk, pulling her into my arms like I could shield her from the whole rotten world. I smoothed her messy hair, whispering whatever comfort I could scrape together as she clung to me like I was her last tether, sobbing so hard her whole body trembled. The raw shame of being hauled out of her childhood home during her mother's funeral no less was carved into every line of her face. My heart shattered 1,000 times just seeing her like that. Did Karen flinch? Not a chance. She jutted her chin out like she was posing for a photo and declared, "I did. Rules are rules. Oh honey, you just sparked a fire under the wrong guy." Emily and I climbed into the car and I drove her home in silence, her quiet sobs filling the void between us. What could I even say? I just gripped her hand tight, made her a hot cup of tea when we got back, and gently helped her out of that wrecked dress. After she finally drifted off, exhausted and utterly broken, I sat alone at the kitchen table in the dark, laptop glowing like a battle drum. Work. This wasn't about work anymore. This was war. Her mom, Margaret, was an old-school treasure, loved her gardening, her potlucks, chatting over the fence with a twinkle in her eye and dirt under her nails. She'd settled in Pine Hollow before the HOA morphed into this aggressive, soul-sucking beast, before Karen Voss crowned herself queen of the cul-de-sac. When Margaret got sick, Emily and I practically lived at that house, trimming her bushes, driving her to appointments, playing the good neighbors. We even followed every absurd rule. But Karen? She still found ways to needle us. First it was the trash cans. Margaret left them out 5 minutes past pickup and bam, a fine. Then it was the mailbox color, not an approved earth tone, they said. Can you imagine? We even got a warning once for parking our car 2 inches over the driveway line. Karen was the type to strut around with a tape measure and a smirk, feeding off petty nonsense like it was her oxygen. And get this, she never once asked what I did for a leave-ying. She saw my slacks, my button-down, my sensible sedan, and pegged me as some mid-level paper pusher. She had no clue I'm the newly elected state attorney general. Surprise, Karen. So this wasn't just personal Anna Marie, it was jurisdictional. I don't flash my title like a badge. But when someone twists bylaws into a weapon to torment a grieving widow, we're not talking about a spat over grass height. We're talking about a bright red line being trampled, and I don't mess around when lines get crossed. That night, I dove in Pine Hollow HOA bylaws, city zoning codes, state laws on private property governance. My screen lit up with tabs, PDFs, neon highlights, and scribbled notes. Did I sleep? Barely. I wasn't after revenge, Thuffo, no, I was hunting for cracks, those little legal weak spots in their armor. HOAs love their precious rules, don't they? Until someone actually knows what they mean. And guess what? It didn't take long to hit pay dirt. Their own bylaws said any fine overdue law 500 required mediation. Where was the mediation when they sicked a security guard on Emily? Nowhere, just a clipboard and her trauma. Unbelievable. Then I saw their enforcement clause was a mess, no documented authority to physically remove anyone from private property, especially not family of the homeowner. And here's the kicker, the HOA's so-called security team? Unlicensed. No permits, no training, just a couple of washed-up mall cops in polos and earpieces playing tough. The second they touched Emily, they cracked the HOA wide open to CIVYL liability. Jackpot. But did I charge in, guns blazing? No. I didn't slap them with a cease and desist or flex my prosecutor muscles, not yet. Karen thrives on drama. She lives for shouting matches at board meetings and those unhinged emails in bold red font. What she doesn't see coming is silence, cold strategy, a slow bureaucratic stranglehold. So I didn't storm the next HOA meeting. I let the Wake fiasco fade publicly, let her think she'd crushed us with her petty power trip. Meanwhile, I was MOVYing chess pieces, quietly calling in favors, requesting HOA filings, cross-checking state compliance docs, even dropping an anonymous tip to the state's Property Association Oversight Office. By week's end, I had enough ammo to make the whole HOA sweat bullets. But I still held back. Why? Because I'm patient, that's why. Then Emily got the letter. Oh, you'll love this. A fine hand-delivered by some board flunky for violating community policy and hosting an unregistered event. The amount? Due law $1,250, due immediately, no mediation, no appeal, just pure audacity. Emily broke down again when she saw it. Can you blame her? She started wondering if we'd screwed up, if she'd somehow ruined everything. That was at me breaking point. Karen wanted to hide behind rules? I'd drown her in them. But before I could file my first motion, before I could nudge that first domino, I got a curveball. A sharp, urgent knock at our door, late evening. I opened it, and who's standing there? Tom, the HOA treasurer, one of Karen's own, looking like he'd just seen a ghost. He glanced over his shoulder, voice dropping to a whisper, and said, I think you should know something's not right with the books. I think Karen's covering it up. Holy hell, was this for real? This wasn't just petty revenge anymore, this was about to explode into something massive. Tom didn't come in right away. He hovered on the doorstep, teetering like a man debating whether to spill a secret or run. I raised an eyebrow and waited. Years in my job taught me silence pulls truth like a magnet. Sure enough, he peeked over his shoulder again and muttered, I think Karen's been skimming money unification funds. It's not adding up. Then he wrung his hands like he'd already said too much. I swung the door wide. Come on in, buddy. He shuffled inside, perching on the couch edge like it might snap at him. Over the next 20 minutes, I got the scoop. Tom, this quiet little board member, had been sniffing out budget oddities for months. Due law $10,000 for flower beds that never bloomed, landscaping jobs that vanished, security upgrades that were just walkie-talkies and a sign. Something stank bad. But every time he spoke up, Karen shut him down, told him it was above his pay grade, and threatened to kick him off for undermining her. And get this, not only was she maybe stealing, but Tom dropped another bomb. Karen personally greenlit the physical removal at the wake. No board vote, no lawyer, just a scribbled note telling those fake guards to enforce compliance on the spot. She basically told a couple of washed-up rent-a-cops they could rough people up over paperwork. Insanity. Can you believe how the game flipped in an instant? I'd stormed into this mess thinking it'd be petty revenge, a quick legal jab, maybe some public shaming to teach Karen a lesson. But now? We're talking jaw-dropping financial irregularities, potential embezzlement that could land someone in cuffs, unauthorized enforcement antics, and a shaky-kneed board member spilling secrets in my levying room like it's a late-night confessional. This wasn't just a crack in the damn Anna Marie, it was the whole thing splitting wide open, ready to crash down. I thanked Tom for his gutsy move, promising him with a steady voice that no one would ever know he'd talked to me. The poor guy looked like he'd dodged a bullet but was still terrified. As he slipped out the door, his parting words stuck like glue. She thinks she's untouchable because no one's ever stood up to her. Just don't sleep on her, she fights dirty. Cute, right? Dirty's her game, but I fight with court subpoenas, buddy. The next morning I hit the ground running. Go was I fired up. I started clawing through every document I could snag: public filings, tax records, community financial statements like some caffeine-crazed detective. I yanked records straight from the Secretary of State's office to double-check the HA's incorporation status. Guess what? They're a nonprofit entity: state oversight, mandatory reporting, and, here's the kicker, accountability they can't dodge. I uncovered missing quarterly reports. Where'd they go? Expenditures that didn't match receipts, and contracts handed out like candy with no bids. Then I started dialing, not flashing my Attorney General badge yet, just playing the concerned citizen card with colleagues who owed me favors. I chatted up the state HOA oversight board, dropped some sly hints, and got pointed to the juiciest forms. Then I hit up a pal at a local news station, off the record, of course, and tossed out, "Hey, if a grieving widow got dragged from her mom's wake by an HOA, would that spice up a slow news day?" Her answer? "Send me the footage and we're leading with it." Oh, you bet I did. See, Karen had no clue that one of the wake guests had caught the whole ugly scene on video from across the street. The quality wasn't Hollywood, but man, was it enough. You could see Emily, all in black, being yanked away from her family like some criminal. Can you even imagine? You could hear her crying, her voice breaking, and that security clown barking, "Per Karen's orders, you're in violation." And there's Karen herself, arms crossed, smirking like she's shooing a stray dog off her pristine lawn. I didn't dare upload it myself, too traceable. I funneled it through a burner account on a neighborhood group, slapped on a caption, "HOA removes grieving daughter from her own mother's funeral, Pine Hollow Estates." Within hours it was everywhere. The comments exploded. People were furious. How is this even legal? This is sickening. These monsters have no soul. And then, oh, this was gold. Other Pine Hollow folks piled in with their own nightmare tales. Who knew the HOA had so many skeletons? That night I plopped down next to Emily on the couch, holding her hand tight while she scrolled through those comments. Her eyes were weary, shadowed from days of grief, but for the first time, can you believe it, there was this tiny spark of vindication flickering in them. She didn't say much, just rested her head on my shoulder and whispered, "Thank you." Meanwhile, Karen strutting around, totally clueless, or at least betting the storm would fizzle out. Spoiler, it didn't. And me? Oh, I was just warming up. I fired off a formal complaint to the State Office of Nonprofit Regulation, batching financial weirdness screenshots and chunks of the HOA's own bylaws like a legal grenade. Then I dropped an anonymous tip to the Department of Consumer Protection about those unlicensed security goons. Seriously, who lets that slide? A week later, I spotted the first crack in emergency HOA meeting. Hush hush behind closed doors. No minutes leaked, but a nosy neighbor overheard Karen losing it, screaming about witch hunts and personal vendettas. She's half right, I'll give her that. Then, plot twist, a letter lands in our mailbox, no return address, just oozing cowardice. Printed, unsigned, and practically trembling, it warned that continued antagonistic behavior toward the HOA may result in further sanctions. Emily freaked, poor thing, but me? I laughed it off. I scanned the thing for clues: legal bluster, empty threats, all fear and no bite. They're rattled enough to try scaring me. Oh, I'm winning this war. So I cranked it up, filed a public records request with the HOA board, demanding financial transparency under state nonprofit laws. 30 days to cough it up, or I'd escalate it straight to the Attorney General's office, which is me. How's that for a twist? Next, I roped in a local audit firm, independent, no-nonsense pros, and asked them to eyeball the public records. Their preliminary read? Overdue law, $20,000 in shady expenses, landscaping billed twice, equipment bought from a ghost company, and get Thesa consulting service payment tied to Karen's cousin. It's all falling into place like a dream. But then surprise, a quiet neighbor, Jake, swings by with a mystery package left on his porch, no name. Inside, photocopies of internal HOA emails, juicy board member threats. One from Karen herself snarls he doesn't know who he's messing with. I don't care if his wife's mother died, rules are rules. If he keeps pushing, I'll find a way to evict them. Oh, Karen, you glorious fool. Did you just hand me the match to torch your empire? I'm not just building a case now, I am gearing up to topple a kingdom. So how big a blaze did I want to ignite? Oh, it started with a bunga knock at Karen's door. Not me though, not a courier from the Office of the State Attorney General, dropping off a formal notice of a pending legal investigation. That envelope thick, official, screaming authority hit her before she even slid it open. Inside? A multi-page gut punch, an inquiry into Pine Hollow Estates HOA, flagging potential nonprofit statute violations, misuse of funds, disclosure law breaches, and those unlicensed security clowns. To anyone else, it's a death knell. To Karen, betrayal from the universe itself. Who dare challenge the queen of the cul-de-sac, right? Word trickled back, scrambled an emergency meeting with her crumbling board. Tom, my jittery treasurer pal, whispered that 2 members had bailed, one whining about stress, the other citing creative differences. They smelled the smoke and bolted. That left Karen, Tom, and some loyalist named Greg who wants find a guy for a yard gnome. Some dream team, huh? Meanwhile, the neighborhood's buzzing like a kicked hive. That wake video hit local news and the outrage won't quit. People who'd cowered under Karen's reign are suddenly roaring. An anonymous Free Pine Hollow Facebook group pops up, spilling tea on fines for wind chimes, citations for faded shutters, and Karen's epic holiday decor meltdowns. One lady got threatened over early Halloween decorations seriously. Another guy got nailed for a basketball hoop. Petty tyranny, every bit of it. And now it's unraveling in glorious public VAW. I stayed back, letting the chaos simmer. Didn't need to play hero. I just wanted justice, chilled to perfection and served up right. But staying low-key got tough when the audit report landed. The numbers? Worse than I dreamed. Overdue law, $30,000 in sloppy spending, duplicate security charges, and checks to a landscaping outfit with no license, no staff, and jackpot owned by Karen's nephew. This isn't mismanagement, Anna Marie, it's fraud, plain and simple. I had it a levy denke motive, witness gold. I could have slammed the gavel myself, cracked the case wide open from my desk. But nah, I wanted it pristine. So I tossed it to Lisa, a special counsel with 0 smiles and a track record of crushing corrupt counsels. She skimmed the files and grinned, oh, we're going to have fun with this. A week later, subpoenas flew, bank records got yanked, and Karen's officially the star of a state-level probe. And still she's not backing down. Can you believe the nerve? Picture this, Karen holding yet another HOA meeting, just her, that loyal lapdog Greg, and 2 trembling homeowners who probably wandered in with innocent questions about trash pickup. She strutted to the front of that sad little clubhouse like some embattled politician clinging to a sinking ship, launching into a speech so unhinged it could only be called delusional. Word got back, she ranted about radical forces, a personal vendetta, and get this, outsiders who don't get our community values. Oh please. She didn't dare drop my name not once, but those sneaky sideways glances from the residents screamed it all. By now, most folks had pieced it together. And guess what? I wasn't exactly playing hide and seek anymore. A few days later, I'm strolling with Emilamy Sweet, healing Emilito her mom's now empty house, and who do we pass on the sidewalk? Karen herself, trying to act like we're in VY Cybele. Did she think she could just breeze by unnoticed? Her lips pinched tight, her eyes squinting like she'd tasted something sour, and oh, I saw it, the first real crack in that smug armor. Not full-on fear yet, but panic? Oh, it was blooming, baby. And then bamthy cherry on top. I slammed a motion for a temporary injunction against the HOA right into the court's lap, screaming irreparable harm from mismanagement, intimidation, and power-tripping madness. With that juicy audit report in my pocket and the neighborhood cheering me on, the judge didn't hesitate, granted it on the spot. Effective immediately, all HOA nonsense fines, security, the works frozen solid. Karen's petty little empire, shut down by the law. How's that for justice? The next day, oh, you'll love Thesa No Frills flyer hit every doorstep and mailbox. Black and white, straight to the point, announcing the HOA's under state investigation. No fines or fees till we say so. Can you imagine the relief washing over Pine Hollow? You could practically hear the whole place sigh in unison, like a weight lifted after years of suffocation. For the first time in forever, people could breathe without Karen's clipboard hovering over their lives. But me? Oh, I wasn't done up by a long shot. I'd bided my time, played it cool, and now it was time for the big reveal. Bring it on. Cue the next HOA board meeting, still technically allowed under the injunction, and holy cow, the community center was a madhouse. Packed to the rafters, folks lining the walls like it's a rock concert. And for the first time ever I showed up. Did I leap up and start shouting? Nope. I slid into the back row, arms crossed, cool as a cucumber, just watching Karen squirm as she tried to kick things off. Her voice shook like a leaf as she stammered through her typed agenda, pathetic. When she finally croaked out, "Any public comments?" I stood up, slow and steady. She clocked me and oh man, for a split second I swore she'd bolt. But I sauntered to the front, cool as ice, pulled a crisp packet from my folder, and slapped it on the podium like a mic drop. "My name's James Carter," I declared, loud and clear, calm but commanding. "Some of you know me. Some only know the hell my wife and I've been through these past weeks. But here's what most of you don't know. I'm the state attorney general, and I've had it up to here with this HA breaking laws, bullying residents, and preying on grief-wying families." The room went dead silent. Someone in the back gasped like they'd seen a ghost. Karen's jaw flapped open, then snapped shut. She looked like her whole world was tumbling off a cliff, and I was low-voying every second. I kept going, laying it all out: the pilfered funds, the illegal fines, those unlicensed security clowns, the intimidation notes. Then I locked eyes with her, dead on, and let it rip. "You had the gall to have my wife dragged from her mother's wake. You thought you could hide behind rules, behind your little process. But rules only shield those who follow them, Karen. You didn't, and now you're going to pay the price." I dropped the packet on the table, boom, and strolled out, head high. Didn't need to linger. The seeds were sown. The justice train was rolling. Later that night, I'm pouring a well-earned scotch, watching Emily finally crack a real smile, bless her heart, when Tom pings me. "Karen's out, step down, effective now. Says she's moving." "What?" I peeked out the window toward the community center, its lights still faintly glowing in the distance. One more queen toppled from the board. Can you believe how fast peace swooped in once that tyrant hightailed it? One day, violation slips are fluttering through the cul-de-sac like some twisted fall foliage, and the next Wyatt. Pure, beautiful quiet. No more Dawn HOA patrols, no more email tirades about flags being 2 inches too wide. No more snarky notes plastered to mailboxes. Karen vanished like she'd never existed, poof. Her house went dark. For sale signs sprouting up like weeds within days. Some whispered she'd fled to family out of state. Others swore she was shacked up with that nephew whose sham landscaping gig raked in HOA cash. Me? I didn't give a damn where she landed. Her reign over us was dona finito caput. But the scars she left? Oh, they weren't just about money or rules, they cut deep right into the heart. Emily had been lost in a haze since her mom passed, and Karen's cruelty turned that sorrow into a jagged wound. Yet now can you feel the shift? Light was creeping back into her, slow and soft, like dawn sneaking through cracked blinds. Little glimmers of hope. She started fussing over her mom's garden again, those roses practically sang under her touch. She flipped through old photo albums without crumbling into tears. She'd sit on the porch with coffee, unfazed by footsteps. Imagine that freedom. One afternoon she turned to me, voice trembling with nerves, and asked, "Would it be okay to host a little gathering here? Just family, a few friends who miss saying goodbye." Of course I shot back, heart swelling. She was still jittery, haunted by that first disaster, but this to me no HOA, no fines, no threats. Just neighbors rolling up with casseroles, folding chairs, and hushed respect. I watched her glide through that crowd, soft hugs, shared tissues, even a gentle laugh when her cousin cracked a joke about her mom's Tupperware labeling obsession. Healing, real, raw, overdue healing. I stood off to the side, drink in hand, and bam, it hit me. The anger was gone. Weeks of fighting, every motion I filed, every shady document I dug up, every trap I set fueled by white-hot rage and a thirst for justice. But seeing Emily finally at peace flipped a switch. What was this all for? Not revenge, not some power trip, just love. Pure and simple love for a woman who deserved to mourn without fear choking her every breath. That night, after the last guest left and we stacked the final coffee cups and cake plates, Emily sank onto the couch beside me and said, "I think Mom would have been proud of how you handled this." I grinned, brushed her cheek, and teased, she always liked me more than she let on. Her laugh-o, that laugh rang out, real and bright, filling the room like a burst of fresh air. The legal gears kept grinding quietly behind the scenes. Lisa, that bulldog counsel, had it locked down. I stayed out of the glare as much as I could. It need the spotlight. This wasn't about me flexing, it was about accountability, plain and simple. Weeks after Karen bolted, the court greenlit the HOA's dissolution. 78 Fantram of homeowners signed to torch it for good. In its place, a chill neighborhood committee, informal, voluntary, no fines, no power grabs, no bylaws fatter than a novel. Just folks agreeing to be decent. How refreshing is that? They asked if I'd join up. I laughed, waved them off. I'm good in the shadows, I said. Maybe toss some legal tips if you need them, but I'd rather mow my lawn without a ruler hovering over me. But wait, there's one last twist. I'm strolling past Karen's old place one afternoon, coffee in hand, when I spot a MOVYing truck. New owners, all smiles and easy VY Bess. I pop over, introduce myself, and they greet me like we're old pals. Glad it's quiet now, they chirp, and I nod, grinning. Before I bounce, I hand them a little gift bag I'd stashed for this exact moment. Inside? A state HOA compliance handbook, a neighborhood contact list, and a cheeky note, just in case. A wink, a nod, a tiny safeguard. That weekend, a new bulletin board pops up by the mailbox. Says no fancy logo, no HOA seal, just a wooden frame and cork in VY Ting notes. Emily's the first to pin something UPA photo of her mom's garden. Bursting with life again, captioned, "In memory of Margaret, thank you all for bringing peace back." Choked me up a bit, didn't tell anyone I said that. Soon, it's cover kids hawking lemonade, lost cat flyers, a potluck in VYTE. A neighborhood, not a dictatorship. Finally. Weeks later, some conference folks beg me to speak on private entity overreach. I dodge it, claiming family time, but I toss them a line. Rules should protect people, not punish them. That evening, Emily and I are on the porch, her head on my shoulder, the air warm and still. I gaze down the street where it all kicked off, where my wife was humiliated in her darkest hour. Now? Quiet, peaceful, free. Revenge? Gloating? Didn't need it. Closure? Oh, that's the real prize. Just as I turn to head in, a car crawls by, driver peering out like they're chasing a memory. Tinted window, but that silhouette I bun, stiff shoulders rings a bell. Karen, maybe? Doesn't matter. It rolls on, slow and deliberate, no stopping. I smirk. If she ever dares slink back, she won't just face mess, she'll face a whole neighborhood that's finally found its spine. Bring it on. I'm absolutely floored by how some people like Karen can twist something as sacred as a neighborhood into a suffocating little fiefdom. It's outrageous, isn't it? Life should be about freedomly vying your truth, tending your garden, sipping coffee on the porch, grieve-vying in peace, not dodging ridiculous fines for a mailbox shade or a 2-inch parking slip. I mean, who has the gall to police a grieve-vying widow at her mother's wake over some dusty bylaw? It's not just cruel, it's a gut punch to everything human. Socially, this screams a desperate need for accountability, real accountability, not just lip service. I'm thrilled James wielded his role as Attorney General not for ego, but to dismantle that toxic HOA beast. Communities should lift each other up, casseroles in quiet respect, not intimidation and embezzlement. Karen's downfall? A glorious wake-up call. People deserve to breathe, to connect, without some clipboard tyrant sucking the joy out of every flower bed or holiday decoration. And Emily's healing, God, it hits me hard. That's what matters. Love, resilience, reclaiming peace from the jaws of petty tyranny. This whole saga begs a blazing question. Why do we let these mini-dictators flourish? I'm passionate about stripping away overreach. Let's ditch the rulebooks thicker than a phone book and embrace decency instead. Neighborhoods should be sanctuaries, not battlegrounds. James and Emily's fight wasn't just theirs, it's a rallying cry for anyone crushed by absurd control. I say let's stand up, tear down the nonsense, and build something real together.